Yeah, welcome to the latest, I guess, weekly live stream with Francesca and Krista of Heart Centered Service. So we're obviously all about freelancing and building a freelance business where you're serving from heart. Because sometimes when you're caught up in work, it's kind of hard to like really make sure that you're staying close to your values and what's important for you. Because freelancing can be like, well, it can be like your living. And so when you're trying to make a living, it's just, yeah, it can be really hard to always be working from a place of heart. So we're trying to make it so you can make a living and work from a place of heart. So yeah, this week we're talking about attracting clients on social media.
Cool. Yeah, we had a lot of fun recording this episode. And I feel like the episode ended up taking a life of its own because we got into this whole conversation about what it's like to be putting yourself out there online. And I think that's like, we hit a lot of the common blocks that people get because it can be really difficult to like put yourself out on social media, be like, hey, this is what I do. Like, I'm an expert in this. This is what my life is like. This is how I can help you. Like, there's so many dynamics to that relationship building on social media platforms because like there's this need to be really personal and then there's also this need to be really clear about who you are and what you do, and it's like you're balancing the business part and the personal part because social media is a social platform and people don't really go on it to follow brands. People go on it to follow people.
True. Yeah. I remember something that we said was like, it was like, wow, we're talking about topics that no one ever talks about with social media. So I'm really excited for everyone to take a listen. Like, it's not your typical create a content calendar and this is what you do. We really go deep into the type of messaging that you can be putting out there and the different ways that you can approach it as a freelancer.
It was an awesome conversation. I'm really excited for everyone to listen to it. Right now, today, I'm going to pull up, Krista, you were sending me questions that you were getting throughout the day because you were pretty much on our Instagram all day and talking to people. So let me just find those really quick and we can respond to them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited because people were submitting really great questions, including Jen Reno, who is a designer in our community. And she's like just starting to explore building her design business. So, and like going through like these crazy, sorry Jen if this is too much to share, but she's like kind of like, she's always been really creative, but it's been really hard for her to call herself a designer or call herself an illustrator, even though like she's been doing art her entire life. So yeah, I'm really excited to be answering some of her questions as well.
Yeah, I got the first one right here. So she says, I think one big one for me is that it gets really overwhelming when you're starting a business. Like you have to be on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and producing content every day. How many platforms should you focus on when you're first starting out? Because for me, it's very time consuming and soul sucking. Haha. Yeah, so we did kind of talk about this in the episode, but Krista, what's your initial response to this question?
Totally. So my initial response is if you're overwhelmed with like which platform to be on, stick with one. Like figure out which platform you enjoy being on the most, because you don't really want to be on a platform just because your people are there. Like your people are on multiple platforms. So it's okay if you hate Instagram and you just want to build your audience on Facebook. Like that's okay to start. So yeah, pick one that you like and also one that you feel like your audience or your potential clients will be on. And yeah, then think about like how they're interacting with that platform too, because people interact with Facebook and Instagram pretty differently, even. So yeah.
Yeah, and we do talk on the episode about how you should like think about the demographics of your ideal client and think about where you're most likely to connect with them. But I think Krista makes a really good point when she says like pick one that you actually enjoy spending time on, because like if you happen to have, I mean, and this is also like if you happen to have clients that spend all their time on LinkedIn and you hate LinkedIn, which I hate LinkedIn. Me and Krista were messaging about this earlier. Like my LinkedIn still says that I'm a stage manager at an opera company. Like, but so if all of your potential clients or like ideal clients are on LinkedIn then maybe they're not your ideal clients, you know, like maybe the kind of platform that you vibe with and you hang out with, like that's going to be the platform you're going to connect with people who are going to vibe with you and who you're supposed to be working with. Because one of the main values of heart-centered service is that we want you to have clients that feel like, you know, they're your best friends and that you're really proud to be working with, because they're an extension of your business. They are your business, basically. So yeah, that's an important thing to consider. It shouldn't feel soul sucking. Like she literally describes social media work as soul sucking, and like I'm not like people feel that way. It's a reality. It shouldn't feel that way. If it feels soul sucking, then like there's a few things that you can do.
Totally. And if it feels soul sucking to you, if you totally resonate with Jen, then please listen to our latest episode on social media, because social media felt soul sucking to me as well. But there's totally a way to make it fun and a part of your routine.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna make one more like remark on the soul sucking thing before we take the next question. If you're in a place right now where you really feel burnt out with social media, I would advise you to take like a 2-week break from it and then kind of regroup, and then you can hop back on it later. But really just like step away from it and think about why it's so draining, and think about a better way that you can be showing up on social media. Listen to our episode, it might help. But yeah, just like it's okay to step away. Like you're not gonna like lose your business if you've been like building a social media following and you're really burnt out. Like taking a break is actually the best thing you can do.
Yes. I know a lot of people preach cadence, which is good, because then it makes you somewhat like your information and your content something that people can like rely on. Like people ideally rely on our episodes to be coming out on Mondays, right? But it's also, and I'm getting this from the branding school, Elise and Scott Grice, it's also really important to make sure your messaging is impactful and you're not contributing to the noise. You're like actually intentional and making a statement when you post, and not necessarily just adding to the noise.
Yeah, and I think we're probably going to end up talking more about cadence in one of the later questions, but that's a really important point to think about, because like with social media, yeah, there's like a lot of stuff that goes in with the cadence. Well, let's do the questions one at a time. I'm going to get carried away on that topic too.
Yeah, totally. This is why we have a podcast, so we can like just talk for ages about this stuff.
Yeah. So next question. I found when I was trying to do my travel blog, I felt like I had to take pictures and video of everything for the blog, it says in quotes, for the blog. But then I wasn't actually enjoying being in this place. It detracted from living in the now and enjoying the moment. So I feel like I can't enjoy travel and have a blog about it because it all turns into the social media game. So how do you balance that? Oh my gosh, really good point. I immediately respond to this because I despise taking pictures. Like I'm not somebody that like, I travel a lot and I'm not somebody that likes to like take pictures of everything. I find it really takes me out of the moment. Like photography is just not something that I really gravitate towards. But I also like to share, like the past versions of my brand, I like to share travel photos on social media and show people where I was, show people the kind of lifestyle I was living. So I guess the way that I found to balance it is that like I didn't really think about it. Like I didn't put pressure on taking the photos. Like I would just take a cool picture of something like maybe 2-3 times while I was sightseeing. And then like later on, I would like have social media time set aside at work. Like I would block out some time to do it. And then I would go through images that I had, and I would go through, like, I think sometimes people can get burned out with like travel blogging if they're trying to like take pictures and post them and do the stories like while they're still having the experience. Like capture the photos and have that just be a second and really be in the moment, and then worry about the social media like when you get back to your hotel or hostel or something. Not while you're like in the moment trying to enjoy your travels, right?
Yes. So no. I think that's a really good point. And I was going to talk about, yeah, like you want to like really I think the ideal is to be in this like flow state where everything you're doing is like giving you joy. Actually, yeah, like it's a question I heard a lot the last 4 days. Is like my friends are always asking, does this spark joy? I think it's from the Marie Kondo method, but but yeah, like you can do the same and assess like what you're doing in your business. Does putting energy into social media give you joy? And then if it doesn't, then kind of like Fran said, take a step back and really assess like why you're doing what you're doing. And yeah, so I think this can really go into also yeah, just like a lot of self-reflection, like because some of the social media stuff is just like kind of you hear the term vanity metrics a lot. So like likes on a photo, those are vanity metrics. Or like what kind of data are you really collecting from likes on a photo, right? Like, is it, how far can you go? Just like, oh, how to get more likes on the next photo, right? But when you're building a freelance business, like you're serving clients and you're trying to like cater to their needs, and entrepreneurship is a lot of problem solving. So maybe you're finding out like, oh, people are resonating with this image or this caption just from a like, but I don't think so really. Like what's more impactful is like creating a conversation or interacting or like hearing feedback. So also think about like, well, what kind of metrics do you want to be tracking, and what's your goal? Like what's your goal with posting on social media? Are you doing client research? Are you trying to improve your service? Are you trying to like educate people about what you're doing? So it's really good to be asking like these hard questions more than like striving for a like, because yeah, these likes, what are they anyway? Oh, oof. Okay, let's not get me into this rant.
No, it's definitely quality over quantity. And you can think about this like the travel blogger version or the business version. Social media shouldn't be this thing that is like getting in the way of you doing what you love. It should be a way of you sharing, like very authentically and genuinely sharing what you love. It should feel like you're connecting with real friends. Like you're posting your travel photos on Instagram after the fact, not while you're in the middle of the experience, just to like share where you have been and like share like you're checking in with your friends, because like your followers are kind of like your online friends, right? And when you own a freelance business, you're posting stuff about your business on Instagram because you are sharing with the people that support you. And you should, and like when you post, it's not about like posting a photo and like, oh, you get like all of these likes. You should be like getting actual interactions from people. Like I only have like 600 followers on Instagram, right? And like some people would say that's not a lot, but I get like really genuine interaction with my content, and I get people DMing me because the people that follow me are genuinely interested in me and what I do. And because of that, I feel really good about posting on Instagram and like doing Instagram stories. I enjoy being on the platform because it almost feels like there's like a support system on there. Which is fun. And there's even like little, like I've made like online friends. Like I have friends who are not real life friends, but that's the online business life.
Yeah, definitely. I am amazed by how many friends that I make online, and just like we interviewed Sheila, and Sheila's like one of our internet friends, right? So it is really cool because like if your goal is to have clients who, you know, like you totally resonate with, and you hop on a call and everything is a fab, and like you're making inside jokes and just like you feel like you're chatting with a friend, like that's just the best situation for me. So yeah, like posting things that like actually bring you joy can like make your clients your best friends, or make your best friends your clients. I'm not sure. Yeah.
That's a really good point. And I think that actually brings us nicely into the next question, which is the question about cadence. So would you recommend using a content calendar or to plan posts ahead? If so, what are some tools you've used for that? I can make a quick comment on that. What are some quick posts that you can do that don't take lots of time?
Great question. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna say really quickly, I don't do content calendars. I really don't do social media strategy. I like to keep it very genuine and flowy. I do, however, schedule social media posts. Sometimes I don't put pressure on myself to do it. It's just I'll get a bunch of ideas for posts at once. So I'll just like use a scheduling tool to spread those out so I'm not posting it all at once. And for that, later.com is a free Instagram scheduling tool. Which is a really fantastic tool to use. And some quick posts that you can do if it's really important to you to not have a completely dead feed or to like have some kind of cadence for whatever reason. Motivational posts are really good, quick, easy things, and I love seeing those in my feed. Like it's a way to just like put some feel good content out there. But you want to mix those up with like genuine bits of content as well. So Krista, what did you want to say?
Yeah, so I like that idea of posting motivational quotes. Also, I'm a writer, so maybe this is just me who does this, but like as I go through my days, I just keep like jots of notes on my phone, and just like I use technology to like really journal about my feelings. So you can even like anytime you're like really thinking about one of your brand values or whatever, like put it on your phone, put it in your journal, and then turn that into content in the future. Another way that I do this is I categorize my Instagram captions specifically on Google Calendar. So I'll bring the stories from my notes and I'll put them into the Google Calendar app on my phone, and I'll set like a day that I think maybe this will fit in my feed. So maybe that's not like a super quick post, but that's one way that I turn my thoughts on and my brand values into I guess like future content. Some other quick things that you can do are just like shooting pictures. So if you've listened to this podcast, you will know I'm obsessed with Instagram stories. So shooting pictures of just like what you're doing. Like I could even just take an Instagram story right now. I'm gonna do that. So so just like take pictures of what you're doing throughout your day, because your clients will like to see the behind the scenes process. I just post like, okay, after I finish a mood board I'm really proud of, or if I finish like a design and I'm in the middle of it, I'll share it on social media. I think that's like a really quick thing to post. Also, any feedback I get, okay, not any feedback, but like really good feedback I get, I post it on social. I just take a screenshot, post it. A couple weeks ago, one of our friends, Matthew, who's also in this group, he sent me a message and he was like, oh, I like how you say niche instead of niche. And I just posted it on Instagram because it's like kind of funny, and it's something that is really different. Like everyone says it really differently, or well, the two ways. But yeah, so these are just like quick ways I think to post on social, just like positive feedback of your work, the behind the scenes, and yeah, I think those are two really good quick posts.
Oh yeah, and that's stuff you get that stuff all the time, and yeah, it becomes a habit. Like this is something that it's gonna flow into your life in your own unique way. Like no two people have like there's not one blueprint for like this is how you need to be like showing up on social media. It's going to be different for every person because social media should be like a reflection of who you really are. And like just to shed some light on what I do, I haven't posted in my feed in a while. I really haven't been like on that recently, which I'm like totally okay with that, because I'm like, if I don't feel inspired to post on my feed, I'm not going to post on my feed. But I go through phases where I am really inspired with it, and like Krista said, I journal a lot, so sometimes I'll just like mark in my journal like this is a really good topic for an Instagram post. And then Wednesdays, I designate Wednesday as my writing day, so it's when I do copywriting work for my own business and for my clients and stuff. And like sometimes I'll like start as like a warm up. I'll just like write a bunch of Instagram captions and then just like schedule them out if I have enough. And the only reason I use the scheduler is so that I'm spacing out my posts and I'm not posting like 4 things at once. And that's kind of how I do it. And you heard how Krista does it. So maybe one of our ways sounds good to you, or maybe there's like something you like build it into your life in a way that feels good for you, because social media shouldn't be an obligation. Like it's the social media culture is improving, I think, but we're still in a place where like we feel like we have to show up and like put on a mask and be like, this is my perfect life. no, like we're getting past that stuff. We're really trying to get past that stuff. So just show up in a way that feels really good to you. We talk a lot in the episode about being vulnerable and like how you can approach that. I think that's really, really significant in this day and age, because
Yes.
again, like social media culture can get toxic fast, and we don't vibe with that here.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see how people have emotions. One of my clients who's in this group as well, Kelly of Grit HQ, she'll post like, oh, she had a hard month and like she said yes to too many things. And I personally really look up to her. So when someone that I really look up to is like showing like how they're human and I think they're superhuman, I think it's really, really impactful. So I think one really great practice, if you want to be this kind of example, is to accept like, yes, we're not all superhumans, and don't be afraid to like post when you're going through, yeah, like, oh, like this design didn't turn out as well as I wanted, or like these are the different stages, these are the changes that I made to this design project or to this Pinterest cover or to this article, you know, like this is how I shape my project. I think like people are going to be really interested in your decision making, and just the behind the scenes of that.
Yeah, people want to see that. And I think it can be really scary to post something like that, be like, oh, this didn't turn out like I wanted, or even like I had a really hard month, or like this really difficult thing happened in my business. It can be really scary to post that stuff, but people are going to see that. And I mean, if they're jerks, they're going to be jerks about it, but but a lot of people are going to see that and be like, wow, this person is so badass, and like they are a human too, like they have hard times too. So like it really, it's validating, and it creates a supportive community among people who work online. We have a really unique position as people who work online, because pretty much like 90, like pretty much everything about our professional lives is us like behind a screen projecting an image, and like and it always is going to be an image that we're projecting, but
Yeah.
like the question is like, how authentic is that image going to be? How much in line is that image going to be with who you really are? And I would hope that you would want to show who you really are as much as possible, as much as you can on a social media platform, right?
Yeah. And I think the most important thing too is, yeah, you have to do the work. So it's just like turning it into a habit of like, okay, so I'm going to post this thing on social media today. Or you can just create that habit of, I always use Instagram stories as an example because I live on Instagram stories, but you can create that habit by just deciding to post everything you're doing on one work day. Join us for Work With Me Wednesday or
Work with
Freelance
me Wednesday.
Friday.
It's the
Yeah.
bomb.
Yeah, but and tag us, you know, like, but yeah, just like commit to one day where you're just posting everything that you're doing for your workday, like even like, oh, this is what I do for lunch or coffee or whatever, and just like do it. It doesn't have to be the greatest thing and most impactful thing in the world, but then it gets you into this habit of turning like your behind the scenes day into content.
Yeah, I love Work With Me Wednesday, not only by like participating in it, but I don't know what it is about me. I love watching other people's work days. Like I'm like, ooh, like what kind of like, how do they organize their day? Like what tasks? I get
Yes.
excited about that stuff. I don't know what it is about me. I'm a weirdo. But yeah, so if you wanted to do Work With Me Wednesday and you wanted to tag me, that'd be cool. But oh, and so I love it. I love Instagram stories too, but something that I've recently been getting into is Instagram Live, which I know like that can be kind of scary, like going live on Instagram. But I finally like pulled up my pants and was like, okay, I'm gonna like do it. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. And the reason I actually decided to try it is because there's this business I follow. It's called the Moon Deck, because you guys know I'm into spiritual stuff. And they basically sell like a deck of affirmation cards. And she does this thing every Monday where she like gets on Instagram Live and she pulls a card for all of her followers for the week. So like we get to like show up at noon every Monday and get an affirmation for the week, and a suggested like little ritual to like, you know, go along with the affirmation. And like I have been showing up to Moon Day She calls it noonday. I've been showing up to it like for a year now. So if you want to like if you want to create a habit of people going to your page, like it doesn't have to be like posting 5 times a week. It can be something as simple as like going live for like 30 minutes every Monday, which is totally doable, and like doing some kind of unique thing to give back to your audience.
Oh, that's so amazing. I really like that idea. And it creates that cadence. You're just doing something that you really love. Like I was just thinking, like you were talking, like, wow, Fran and I really have a lot to say, and that's why we do a podcast episode and this live. But you're just like doing and talking about what you love. And this is quite casual. Our podcast is quite casual, and I really enjoy it. I think it's a really great way to make connections. So you just have to also experiment, like what kind of social media it works based on your personality or your likes or your interests. Like I've talked about it on the podcast before, I think. Like I tried YouTube out for a while, but then I realized like that's not really my thing. And so I think podcasting is like a really good like kind of media, not necessarily social, but we're building it into like a social thing by having this community and participating on Instagram. So yeah, just like it's also really good to like experiment with what you're doing. And the Instagram live or Facebook live is a really great like casual way to build that relationship with people. And it's Facebook and Instagram lives can be really conversational when people start showing up. So even just like yes, a great idea, Fran.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a really good note, because we're getting up on like 30 minutes now. It's a good note to end on, that like keep it casual. Like it doesn't have to be like this perfectly, like you don't need to like buy a professional video light and like a nice camera and like all that stuff. You can if you want to, if you're passionate about that stuff, go for it. But like if you just want to be more active on Instagram and connect with your followers more, it is as simple as like pulling your phone out and leaning it against a drinking glass and doing a live, or like, you know, posting about your day on Instagram. It's really we make it so much harder in our heads than it actually is. And at the end of the day, just go for it.
Totally. Like you don't have to post every day on Instagram. I post like 2, 3, 4 times a year on Instagram actually, and I'm just always doing stories. But yeah, like there are so many different ways. Like if you're more conversation based, then Twitter is a great platform. Or if you are more professional, then LinkedIn is a great platform. I don't really know what the adjective to describe people who use LinkedIn are, but I think it's just more formal. But yeah, there's so many different social media platforms out there for different styles. So it really is about experimenting with what sparks joy.
Yeah, I'll take a little page out of Marie Kondo's book, and like make sure that I mean, your work should make you excited, and every facet of your work that you have to do consistently, like you shouldn't hate it. You know, like if you have to show up on a social media platform that you hate, just don't do it. There's no point. This is why we're self-employed.
Yes.
So have fun, everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and next week we're going to be releasing the content marketing episode, and we'll be getting more into like more content creation, which I love. I love talking about creating things, because pretty much my favorite thing to do is create content. So
yeah, I really I love everything about this podcast. I love you guys. I love when you guys slide into our DMs. Like, yeah, this is such a, I'm gonna cry again. Let's end this before I bring the tears.
We cry because we care.
Yes.
All right, everyone, have a really great week. We're here in the community. We're on our Instagram page if you needed us for anything. And bye, everyone.